To that, all kinds of fun stuff. Good weekend, Danny?
Yeah, not bad. Yourself?
It was all right. It's all right. Didn't really do much of anything.
Celebrated my anniversary this weekend.
I know.
Went out to dinner.
Yeah, where'd you go?
We went to an Italian joint in town.
Yeah, Papa da Boopy.
Baba da Boopy. Because we like
Wait a second. You're not saying the name of it, so therefore, I'm going to guess you went to Olive Garden.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, this is not a chain. This is not a chain.
Okay.
But I don't want to name the restaurant because of what I'm about to say.
Uh-oh.
Service was great. Waiter was great. Host was great.
You got food poisoning.
No. I'm Italian. I know what Italian food's supposed to taste like, even in a restaurant.
Okay.
So my wife, she goes, hey, I don't want to start a fight. It's our anniversary dinner. I go, uh-oh.
I don't want to start a fight.
She goes, not a fight, but I don't want to start an argument. I go, okay, what does that mean? She goes, I don't mean for this to come out the wrong way, but the way you criticized the calamari reminded me of something. I said, okay.
Oh, whoa. This is your anniversary dinner?
Yeah.
This is anniversary. The way
And
you
she
criticized.
she was smiling. She wasn't like, going to like rip me a new one or anything.
Yeah,
Like, I don't want to bring this up now, but since
but
it came
she
up.
did. Uh-huh.
When we first started dating in the first couple of years, you were very open-minded, and now you seem a little bit more judgmental. And
she
quick
ain't
to
wrong
judge.
on that. She is not wrong. You are. She is not wrong.
So I said, okay.
Now, hang on. I'll explain my piece too in a second, but continue.
About it. She goes, no, it's our anniversary. I go, no, tell me. Well, you criticized the calamari. I go, yeah. I've had better calamari. I go, this is not homemade calamari in an Italian restaurant, I expect, for the price that you're paying. This is
Frozen?
Frozen. We pulled it out of a box, threw it in the fryer, and threw it on a dish. And I worked in a restaurant. I know what that looks like.
Okay.
I've had calamari, good calamari in Rochester, and I've had mediocre calamari. And I've had bad calamari. This was more along the lines of mediocre. Came
Was
out
it
of a
fried?
box. Yeah, it was fried.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It was fried. I've had homemade fried calamari. That
Delicious.
was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. This wasn't that.
Okay.
And then later, the dish that came out was kind of sloppy.
But we don't care about any of that, Dan.
Point. So
we don't care about any of that.
So she
you know
goes,
what we care about? We care about the fact that it reminded her of you being closed-minded and judgmental, my friend.
Or quick to judge.
Quick to judge. Okay.
And I said to her, okay.
You said, give me examples.
That's fair.
And she
She
said,
gave me the calamari example. That's the only example she could give.
the only example she could give?
Yes.
I don't believe
Now,
that.
there's often times where she will come home, and she's a teacher.
Yes.
And she will vent to me about how much
Yes.
teaching has become very, very difficult.
Okay.
More and more power is going to the students, and less of it's going to the authority figures.
Right. And you
These
say,
parents are. So
and you go off.
I advise her.
No, you go off is
Yeah.
what you do. You don't advise, you go off.
Yeah, I go off.
And sometimes I think that sometimes, not always.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I'm certainly no taskmaster, but if you can learn from your failures, learn from mine.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes and I don't mean women, but in your case, your wife, she doesn't want to hear your
prescription.
Yes, she wants to be able to just
Vent.
And sometimes the best thing to do when someone's venting is let them vent. And then no, not don't do that.
No?
See now, because this is what you're gonna do.
Okay.
I see it already. I see it already. This is what you do. What you do is you start you feel like you need to solve it. And I think most men, and I do think this is more a male thing, and I hope that doesn't come off misogynistic to some people, but I think men like to try to solve the problem.
We're considered fixers.
Right. We want to solve the problem. And especially when it's for someone that we love who seems to be in pain.
Yes.
I think that that's all valid. But I think sometimes you've got to be able to judge what that is. And so, I would always sit back. What I would tell somebody to do now is sit back and just listen and give things like, man, that like almost match their emotion. Like,
right.
God, that does suck. That sounds really difficult. Right?
Yeah.
And just let them get it out and be on their side and then maybe say, I don't know if you're open to suggestions, but maybe try this and keep it simple. Less said, the better. The less said, the better. And the one thing that like most guys don't do well is listen to the yeah, 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 yeah. I get it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Here we go
And
again.
then your mind starts.
Right, but
When you try to be quiet,
yeah,
your mind starts wandering on other things, and then you don't even hear the story.
Okay, well,
I'm guilty of that too.
I usually I try to lock in. You got to try to lock in.
Yeah, I know.
You got to give her the 15
I've gotten better
minutes.
at that. I think.
Yeah, but the judgmental stuff, I think that Danny, if I may say,
Go ahead.
had become sick and tired.
Yes.
Of shit that you're seeing in the world.
I'm sick of it.
And that you have thoughts on how this should be fixed, and we shouldn't allow this sort of thing, and blah blah. And that would be a little more closed-minded than you were.
I don't want to turn into get off my lawn guy.
But you're getting there.
The problem is that there aren't enough guys who in this country, in America, who are willing to take at least just one step. So the rest of us feel like they have to take 10 to fix this. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know.
In other words, taking the first step of like, I don't know, parenting your kids.
Yeah.
So now
but
my wife has to deal with these idiots.
Okay. So
you're idiots.
yes, but I don't. Okay, this will lead us into our next segment, and I'll hold.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll move things. No, this is fine.
Okay.
This is what do I? Never mind. I'm not going to get into that. No, all I was going to say is just in terms of how we do the show, but it doesn't matter. I think that a lot of times things. Is it possible the kids' behavior is different today? Yes. Is there a lack of parenting? I guess. I don't know what school district she's in. I can tell you, but there's things in every school district. So things are pretty similar. She's in a middle school, though, correct?
Right.
Okay, those are the fucking worst. It's the worst years. And I do think that social media and the influence of that sort of thing, I used to kind of get a little bit cringy as a parent when I would watch Disney with the boys, because there was always, it was like a tutorial on how to be a smartass. They loved Zach and Cody. They lived in a hotel, but they always had these quick lines and little snapbacks,
Zingers, right.
and little zingers. And I went, my God, this is a tutorial on kid, because think of any one of us all the way through. I don't want you to say that you can't pick on this generation. It's just what was available. So my parents, you couldn't have a rated R movie in the house when I was growing up.
Right.
But
I remember the first rated R movie I watched.
and I
So
didn't
laugh
have,
if I tell you what it is.
I didn't have cable. So I didn't get to see all this until like 1989, where you had those shows that were, whatever. You could even do different strokes. They had, what you talking about, Willis?
Yeah.
That kind of thing that everybody repeated, right? And you learned different things along the way. People would start doing Eddie Murphy style jokes because Delirious was out and all that. It's the same thing. But I'm like, wow, this is a young age where it's just, all it is teaching you how to be a smart ass or sarcastic or whatever. Now, some personalities pick up on it, some don't, but it is a tutorial on how to do it. So I think with social media, the same thing, the pranks, all that. So now you take that. Well, how does any parent control that? I don't know. And when it's middle school, and that's the Wild West of hormones, man.
Yeah.
It's
And this
all
is
over
the
the
age group
place.
that she likes teaching too.
Yeah, well,
That's the thing. I go, well, you
Okay.
could always go back to the other school.
yeah.
And she goes, no, I like teaching this group. I like working with this group. I go, okay, well then are there good kids? Because there was one time where after a musical.
All it can take is one bad apple can spoil a bunch. That's why.
And that's something that had to sink in with me
Yeah.
because all of a sudden, so I go
she
to.
ain't looking for you to solve her problems, though.
Right.
Mr. Judgmental motherfucker over there.
Okay.
Mr. All of a sudden, get off my lawn and let me tell you
And
what's
I- and
wrong
I-
with the world.
And I realize I don't want to be that guy.
Okay,
I don't.
Then don't be.
I don't. But I can't just not acknowledge
Acknowledge
the
what?
fact that there is a lot of 2 plus 2 should not equal 5. And there's a lot of that going on.
Like what?
And double knowledge and all this other
Give
stuff.
me an example of what. Give me an example of something that bothers you.
Okay.
Along the lines of 2 plus 2 equals 5.
Your kid identifies as a cat, needs a litter box in school to go to the bathroom.
Okay, where is that happening?
It's happening all
Where?
over the country.
Where is it happening? I don't want to know all over the
I
country.
think I think it happened at Gates, if I'm not mistaken.
They had no.
I also know.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. Please. Somebody's got to
I know it's happened locally.
No.
Let's not say Gates, but I don't know. But I know this happened. There are kids who identify as cats.
Would we think that there's going to be kids that would identify as Irondequoit?
I don't know.
Webster? Would it be Webster? Does Webster have a bunch of pussies? I don't think so. That's what I'm saying. By pussy cat is what I mean.
Okay.
There is no fucking way that they have allowed a child. There is no way. And this is the stuff that I don't understand why you're believing that. Who's telling it to you?
I've read about it.
But where?
In the Daily Mail. And you read it in
God.
What? So it's not true?
I don't think so, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because there's no way that we could have a human being going in a litter box and out in the public with health. It's a health problem. I mean, I get it. The litter box, it takes care of stuff. Unless they're doing it, they're putting it in the bathroom somewhere. I've never heard of this. And I'm just giving you an example. Okay, I know you're giving me an example, but here's my thing. Why the fuck do you give two shits? Hang on. That's happening, if it were happening. Because I will tell you that I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's widespread. I think that's an isolated one place. Maybe you don't want the tolerance or whatever, and we need to conform by these rules and this thing. Who gives a shit? Seriously, I would laugh my ass off. I would be like, you know what? I would tell my kids to shit in there. I would have done bombs away in the fucking
kitty litter. There are kids who I'm sure will take advantage of that.
Okay, but that's
kids are like water, man. They take the shape of their container.
No,
they will do whatever is allowed.
Yes,
to do.
But I think
which is pushing the boundaries.
But I think this stuff gets silly. I think the idea that it would be allowed is silly. But I also think that if I wouldn't even go fighting it. I would tell my kids, you're not a cat. We don't act like that in this house. You're a human being. You're intelligent. I want you got to go to the bath. I would have those conversations with my kids, but I'm not going to tell somebody else how to live or how to do their thing. I look at it this way. Life can be hard enough. Why do you need me to shit on you for anything? As long as the fact that your kid shits in a litter box, it has no bearing on my life whatsoever. It really doesn't. What you're saying is we're tolerating this stuff, and it's a slippery slope, and down we go, and on and on. And I'm going to say I don't think so. I don't think it's that bad. I think that these things are done. I feel like they're distractions. I think they're things for people to get upset about that have absolutely no bearing on your life, and you'd be better off finding something else to focus on.
But the age group that I'm talking about, the age group that my wife has to deal with is the same age group and a little bit older are the same Kia boys that go around and steal people's cars.
Okay,
one gentleman ended up dead in Gates last year because he was carjacked.
All right, but hold on. You're jumping.
But it's the same. But
You're jumping. You're jumping from allowing a kid to be a cat to someone stealing a thing. So what are you saying? The lack of parenting?
Yes.
Well, I would think the kid who's got the cat and the parent that pushes for the kid to has more parental concern, and I'm not worried about cat boy stealing a Kia. So that's why I'm thinking you're sort of talking apples and oranges in a way, because those parents are involved. If you're pushing to allow the school to have my kid shit in a box, those parents are involved, Danny.
They're involved, but that's just terrible parenting.
Okay.
And I'm allowed,
in your opinion,
to say that.
In your opinion, it's terrible parenting, but it doesn't mean those kids are going to steal the car. Do you see what I'm saying? They're probably home, letting the kid lick itself. Hey, did you lick your paws after dinner? That's my point. But you're saying there's a lack of parenting.
Yes, whether it's bad or it doesn't. It's not existent.
Right. But you got to follow. You got to follow the logic on this, because it's not fair to say that the parent that allows their kid to identify as a cat is bad parenting. I would say it's not typical parenting. It's not something I would do. But I don't care. Keep your cat on the leash over there, fine. You know what I mean?
But that cat eventually is going to grow up.
Right. And may grow out of a stage where they do that. Because I've had kids, and you haven't. That sounds like I'm weaponizing that. I'm not.
Fair.
But
that's fair.
What I'm going to say to you is they go through phases. Jordan wore a Red Wings satin jacket that was too big for him for like 2 years. Would never take the thing off. Had it on in summer. Wore it all the time. All of a sudden, just one day, it's over. I never said don't wear that. It's a filthy jacket. Why do you always wear it? I just let it go. I didn't care because he's a kid. It's what made him feel, I don't know, confident, whatever. That's great. Had no right. It doesn't mean, is that bad parenting? If the kid, do you see what I'm saying? Like if a kid decides to go as a cat, is that bad? No, I don't care. That's fine. Jameson was all into his hair. He wanted do-rags and he wanted this. And people would tell you that that's cultural appropriation. And you shouldn't allow it. And you shouldn't do this. To me, it was he really loved rappers and really wanted to identify with those guys who didn't growing up have some kind of something they identified with. Is it bad parenting to let your kid walk around in a do-rag when he's white? Some people would say yes. I did it anyway. I let it go on because I knew it wasn't going to last and eventually it would phase out. So why am I going to yell at you and shame you for something, for people you look up to who you idolize and think are really cool and go, that's bullshit. Blah, blah. That's how parents, to me, that's bad parenting.
I know what you're saying.
That's bad
I just think there's a world of difference between wearing clothes.
Yes.
Like I grew up in the grunge era.
Yes.
And
I hear what you're
where
saying.
kids were like not bathing on purpose for 3 or 4 days. In my generation, which I thought was ridiculous then, and I was a guy who loved those bands, but I'm like, I'm still taking a shower.
Okay.
But you dressed in cords, and parents were like, okay, or you had a bowl cut, right? And they looked ridiculous. Looking back, everybody looked like, what was it? Which one was the curly, the Three Stooges? They had the bowl cut.
Yeah.
My father, you look ridiculous. But hey, go ahead, do that, right? And then I realized, oh my gosh, okay, you grow out of it. That's fine.
You grow out of it.
But there's a world of difference between that and having
what?
the world have to cater to your needs because you're doing something that sounds unnatural.
Yes, I will say.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I'm not trying to sound like a jerk.
No, we're having I think a great discussion.
I hope so.
And I'm fully enjoying it.
Okay.
And I mean that.
Because I got to get back to the calamari in a second.
I think it's a discussion, but I would say, so there's many people listening and always that are practically screaming how much they agree with you and love that. And I would say that I understand what you're saying, that what the world is trying to do, and this is where the pendulum is, make everybody feel included. It is a strange world where you have to declare your sexuality at the door. I'm gay, I'm straight, I'm fluid, I'm this, I'm whatever.
And do you?
Well, I think we do. I mean, how many times behind our back, I think that guy's gay. You know what I mean? Like we've all done it.
We've all done that.
Because it's come to a world of that, and that we thought, I can tell you as a guy who had an experience at 7 years old and then found out what gay was, I didn't want anybody to know what had happened to me because I knew I wasn't. One of my biggest weaknesses in life was women. I think so.
Yeah, mine too.
No, I'm just saying. And I'm just saying, like I really enjoy women. I like women. I like women.
I do too.
I like women. I
had a crush on Daphne from Scooby Doo.
I like the femininity, and I like the way they smell, and I love to make them laugh. I love women. I can't help it. That's me. Somebody else may love guy, whatever. But when we start, the problem is we for so long made everybody feel bad. There was nothing worse than being gay, as I said, right? In a locker room. And I remember kids that I went to school with, you know, and I can remember one kid's last name. I think he's passed, but his last name was Malerchuk, and he was effeminate. I don't know if he ever was or wasn't, but he was very effeminate. Feathered his hair and all this. Had his comb in the back pocket, and I used to. Malerchuk became a different name. Oh. You understand what I'm saying?
Only imagine.
Okay, but so for so long, we took somebody and go, don't tell me, because we're all going to make you feel like a piece of shit. Well, now we're trying to go, hang on a second, that's not right. That's not the right way. And maybe we've gone too far, to your point. Maybe we have. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have kids involved.
Yeah,
in
I think overcorrection is often miscorrection.
Right. But I mean, I don't know these stories, though. And this is where I think your wife is saying. where like the kitty litter box. Don't you think that would have been bigger news? Wouldn't that have made news? Like, I would think
I
that one of the
I recently heard about somebody. There was a lawsuit. Let me just backtrack a little bit. There was a lawsuit filed by this kid's parent because the school would not allow the kid to identify as a cat. I had also heard other instances.
Okay,
not
but
many
you heard
other
about
instances of cats. The cats. Young people identifying as cats and wanting littered boxes in school.
Okay. Well, well, I don't think the school could allow it because I don't think you could have feces out like that, human feces. I just can't. And the smell, and who has to change the litter box, and we can't ask our janitor to, you know what I mean? We're not a veterinary school.
But I see where my wife is like, I open up a box and then you just go off.
Yes.
I'll tell you what the problem is.
Yes, you've turned it. You're turning.
And I don't
want to
be that guy.
But you are.
But here's the thing: to bring it back to the calamari.
Yes.
I go, would you like me to tell you Tuesday that the calamari sucked? She goes, well, you ate it all. I go, yeah, because it tasted decent, but it wasn't calamari the way I would expect at an Italian restaurant. I go, I have the right to say that. My point is, do I not have the right to express myself anytime when I have an idea in my head?
You don't. You do. You have the right. That is true. She also has the right to not want to have to listen to it. That's the other side.
But like you just eat. Oh man, it's calamari. It's calamari.
No, but that's not what you do. I guarantee it. I wish there was video somewhere. Like Alex wrote me saying that we should get people to have their first date on the podcast, have it catered and mic'd, and then like I'll be the waiter and the host and the whole thing, and then hold one of them back and find out if there will be a second date. Kind of thing.
Okay.
Right? So you would have cameras there. Well, my point with you is I think that you say this calamari sucks. I think it would be this calamari. I worked in an Italian restaurant, and let me tell you something. I know when this is it, and I would expect more from a restaurant like this. I come to Red Lobster. I want the best calamari. I know it wasn't Red Lobster. I know it wasn't. You said Italian. That's why.
I don't like to go to chains, except Texas Roadhouse.
Okay,
that's actually pretty good. There's a waiting list.
I'm not arguing. But my point is, I think you do that because we never see how we are. We never see how we truly are. We just don't.
You'll never see your face.
So we think we're doing one thing, and maybe we're coming off the other way. And you do lately come off with a lot of heat. You come with heat. Your frustration level you're up to, and that's where I go, stop watching the news. Take a breath.
And I've actually tried stopping to watch the news.
Because you don't. You go on these searches on YouTube and you stay up to all hours and you're listening. And I don't think anybody you're listening to is wrong. It's their opinion. They're smart guys. You're listening to smart people. Just form your own opinion on it.
To me,
take it down
I remember a guy.
Don't forget, they're trying to be entertaining.
I remember. Yeah, I know. And they're looking for clicks.
Yes.
I remember a guy named Bill Moran who had a son named Jordan Moran. And Jordan Moran wanted to be a JAG lawyer at some point in his life. And you once told Tommy and I, before a show, and I said, Jordan, he did something that kids do. Jordan, is that the move a JAG lawyer would make? And I want to ask the question.
Yeah.
Are these the moves that successful people make?
I would say no.
Like stealing cars? And allowing people to just...
I see these things as two different things. I think if you're identifying as a cat,
but it's all under the same Dan Barello umbrella of anger.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I know that. But to me, they're two different things. Kids that are stealing, I would like to see them take their powers for adventure and intelligence, because it takes a little bit of intelligence to figure out how to get in the car and all this other stuff, even if it's basically breaking the window. But I like to see them take those powers and put it towards something constructive. There's something there. There's potential there. Well, there's potential there, but can we get you to do something? Can we use your powers for good, right? And somebody needs, but it's too much. And so you get caught up in life, and it becomes, you're a hamster on a wheel then. You got to step off and look at it. I would say to the person who's letting their kid be a cat, I hope it's a phase. If they stay being a cat, okay, maybe they'll find happiness. Who gives a shit? It doesn't bother me, because I will tell you, majority of kids are not dressing up.
Oh, I know a majority of kids
Yes,
aren't.
that's what I'm saying. So we don't have to worry about the whole world going.
But my
that
whole
way.
thing is like we met back before, like we went 5 minutes, said one rotten apple can ruin the whole bunch.
Well, if you get a shitty kid acting out, it takes away from class
Then
time.
what else is gonna come from this? It
From
builds
what?
and it builds and it builds.
From the cat?
No, it's just
from the litter box. It builds and builds to
No,
what?
I'm just saying,
it builds and builds.
you
to
allow
what?
this kid
Let
to
me tell you
have. So
something.
now I identify as a shark,
Yeah.
right? Or I
That's
identify
great.
as a boat.
That's great.
You know,
That's great. So let somebody who identifies as a
I love to do homework. I'm a shark.
let somebody. That's not the way it's gonna go. But see, you take this. Sharks swim in schools, don't they? They go to school.
They do.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I think you go like a step too far, and there's going to be a point where you can't, and you're going to have to say to the parent of the kid who wants to shit in the litter box, he can identify as a cat. He just can't shit in the litter box here. Let him be a cat every day. It's a little distracting, but we'll work around it, and just keep the litter box at home or homeschool the kid. That is your choice, right?
Okay.
I just don't. I haven't heard these things, and I'm not. Here's what I don't like. I don't like seeing you get all worked up over it.
Well, it's kind of funny.
It is, but I think that
I
think
like,
there's some truth to it with you, and
well, I really don't like when my wife is coming home telling me that her coworkers don't help the situation, and then she's got to come home, and I have to hear, and I care about my wife. I go, you want me to handle it? No, I don't need you to fight my battles for me.
well,
Like,
this is exactly right.
I'm like, okay, so what do I do?
Listen.
I know, just listen.
Listen, and don't do the Just listen, be engaged, and say and respond with things like, "I should have been a marriage counselor."
Oh, we're great.
Only because I failed. No, I'm just saying, like, it's good stuff. Like, all I would say is go, "Yeah, I hear you. Man, that sounds like it sucks. Boy, that would be frustrating." You know, that sort of thing. So it's empathy, because she's not looking for a solution. If she was looking for a solution, she'll do it on her own.
Mm-hmm.
She's smart. She doesn't need you. She just wants that, just to know that you're there. Danny, you take it all so serious. Well, that's it. I'm going all Butch Barillo, and I will solve it all. That's what you do. I see it. All right. Speaking of 30 years ago, now you know I love you. I'm only busting.
Yeah, I know.
I am. Something happened in the news locally, and I'm going to play the clip.
Okay.
And I have some very different thoughts.
Okay.
Very different thoughts. And we'll see if you agree.
All right.
Maybe you won't. If you identify as a cat, we here at Billified Podcast apologize on behalf of Dan Barillo for insulting you and your family. I think Jackson once told me that he used to pee in the litter box downstairs because he didn't want to go upstairs to go to the bathroom.
But that's ingenious, though. That's actually
That's
smart.
not ingenious.
Yeah, it is.
I was so pissed when it happened. I go, I think I said, you're not a cat. Get upstairs.
Right. Well, there you go.
I don't want to miss the show, Dad. It was watch the show. All right, we'll take
I used to take a leak out the back door if I didn't want to go upstairs.
Oh, I used to do stuff. Yeah, I did stuff like that. I did
My
stuff.
father goes, why do we have, it would freeze. Why do we have yellow ice?
We'll take a moment. But first, that was great.